Ladies and gentlemen, a very, very big welcome to Lecture 7. Obviously, this is a lecture before you're going to go and have a break. So I want you to make sure you're very, very paying attention. And I actually scheduled this lecture to be today at this time because I want to make sure you're going to be able to pick up everything that I'm going to say today, take it away during the break and start working on your group assignment, which is really a big, big task that you need to really go and start working on. So please make sure you understand all of that information and start working on your jobs. I'm going to talk today about two chapters, chapters 1 and chapter 2. And obviously it's about agile project management. Now, agile project management is something that you need to go and demonstrate you're going to be able to go and do. You also need to go and demonstrate you can do the PIM book, project management body of knowledge application of project management. So both of these are really, really important. Both of these need to be done. And it's really about ensuring you have that understanding of those things that need to be done to be able to get the right outcome. Now, today I'm going to start introducing the Agile. I'm going to start talking about Agile Manifesto. I'm going to talk about the principle of Agile Manifesto. I'm going to talk about why Agile is different. And I'm going to talk about the psychology of Agile team leadership. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before I even start, I'm going to just give you a couple of minutes to be able to go and really make the research about what do you think Agile project management really is all about. So before I start giving any outcome or making any discussion, I'm giving you 2 minutes to be able to go and look at that. I want you to look what, I want you to make a quick search about Agile, 2 minutes, and then I want you to start sharing with me what do you think Agile project management is, either from your reading or from the information that you actually already know from the past. So you have 2 minutes to search about what Agile project management is and start sharing with me some of this feedback that you have. So your 2 minutes to start it now. Please search what Agile project management is. After the 2 minutes finishes, I will let you know and start taking your answers. So please start searching now. Ladies and gentlemen, time's up. So could you please tell me what do you think Agile project management is? I'm going to start by sharing the comment. Raul, you asked me a question if I'm recording. Yes, I am. Is everything okay? Raul? Raul?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you asked me if I'm recording. Yes. Is there any question about that?
No, didn't see the recording thing before. So
Yeah, it is. It is actually. So guys, yes. So we have a number of answers about what does Agile project management is. Some people are saying it's about being more and not be rigid, be more flexible, and agree with changes happening. Understanding the changes in customer requirement and so on. So that's the sort of things we need to go and look at. So Agile in a way is really different. I'll talk more about it and you'll understand it in much more details. Agile project management is very, very different. It's a method that is geared around more of an informal approach to management. So you're not going to have someone really managing you. You're going to have someone who's just more acting as a empower, like someone who basically is what we call as a servant leader. You have a servant leader whose job there is not really to tell you what to do, but more to be able to go and guide you on how you need to do things. Like, for example, if you go and you want to go and deliver a very specific software, and in this software there are more than one level of work or more than one modules. In a traditional environment, you're going to have a project manager telling you every single thing that needs to go and be done, and that's one approach. There's going to be really someone telling you every single thing. Do this, do this, do this. Is going to basically be telling you what to do rather than giving you the empowerment to go and decide how things need to be done. This is really different from Agile project management, where the Agile, what's going to happen is someone is really more there to be able to guide you. They're not going to tell you what to do. They're going to they trust that you are smart enough and you can actually go and get things solved. They know that you have all the knowledge that is required. So they're not going to really tell you how to do anything. They're going to basically be there and say, well, no, okay, so how would you guys do it? There will be a team, and that team will have the chance to go and really share their ideas and their opinions on how things need to be done. So they're not going to be guided by the manager telling them what to do in Agile, in contrast to what happens in a traditional project management. Agile method is geared around more of an informal approach to management. When I say informal, means you know, you're not going to have someone kind of sitting down making a lot of management, making like there's going to be meetings, there's going to be things, but it's just more informal. Like you're my employee. I'm going to trust that you know what you're doing, and because you know what you're doing, I'm really not going to go and tell you what to do. I'm going to go and trust that you have the ability. I'm going to allow people to talk informally together to be able to solve various issues that might be available. I'm going to basically allow more flexibility. When I talk about flexibility, if the customer comes to me and tell me they want more things, I will be flexible to really try to listen to them and understand what their requirements and try to accommodate those requirements. It's all about communication. People need to be communicating with each other all the time in a normal agile environment. It's about being transparent. So don't hide anything. It's really about ensuring we are getting things done well. We're not going to hide anything. We're going to be transparent. And there's going to be actually a lot of tools that you guys will need to go and apply for your assignment, which basically show you how much transparency there is actually in this sort of work environment. So it's really about understanding how things really go and gets done. It's a totally new approach. It's going to be tools like, you know, for your assignment, you're going to be using Trello and Slack to be able to show me that you've done communication very well for this assignment. In practice, is tools like Jira and Confluence that are used very much in practice to be able to go and really show a lot of transparency. So you're going to talk about, you know, all of these tools to, you know, which facilitate people really talking together, team members, management, everybody basically working together, and they can see at any point of time everything that is really happening. So if I go to think about Agile, it looks very, very similar to how we used to go and do things. Just as always, there's a project, there's goals, there's budget, there's timescales, there's problems that you need to go and solve. None of that is actually changing. All of this is basically still very valid at this point of time. But the end destination may be pretty much the same, but the way we go to achieve the end destination is basically very different. So the way we actually work to be able to get the job done is basically very different in both practices. In spite of the project successes prior to Agile, many projects were late, over budget, or worse, didn't deliver what the business really needed. So traditional project management, a lot of time, don't get to the customer exactly what the customer really wanted, and that's a big problem. Now, gone are the risks of going too deep before you have to spend good money to fix a problem. Why? Because in Agile, every about 4 weeks, you produce an output, and the client could go and see the output. So in traditional, you have to go and deliver the whole project, and only after you deliver the whole project, then you will be able to go and see whether there's any problem and that needs to go and be changed. In Agile context, it's different. Every about 4 weeks, we are producing something, and because we keep on producing something, you are actually able to go and see a different output. You're gonna be able to simply go and see the output, make adjustments very early, not basically make adjustments only towards the end of the actual project. So you're not going to have to spend a lot of money before you start making fixing. You only make some changes, some work, you understand the issue, and then you fix it straight away, which is in contrast to the traditional project management where you have to do the whole project, then you can start making repairs. That doesn't mean that Agile projects can't go off track. Every project could go off track, but because you are always monitoring and allowing the customer to make changes along the way in Agile, the chances of things going bad are very minimal using the Agile context. Now, the Agile working methodology or movement allows project managers and other stakeholders to assess and examine direction to the project during the life cycle. So if I go and I've been working on this project for 3 months, and I found out, for example, that what I'm working on at the moment is not exactly what is needed. If we basically go and figure out that things are changing, we're not getting the right outcomes, we believe the requirements that the client wants have actually changed, we actually allow the client midway through the project or even at the beginning to keep on telling me how things are changing and for me to go and meet all of those changes. Sprints or iterations are regular and consistent times which allow for a constant growth model which the team members follow. So every 4 weeks, we get something. So it could be module 1 in sprint 1, which take 4 weeks. And then we have sprint 2, which is another 4 weeks. Now, sprint 2, I produce another component that I add to the first component. I come and I finish months 1 and months 2, and I get output 1 and output 2, which work together. Then someone comes to me, you know what? I want to change my requirements for week 3 or month 3. I say, no problem, we'll change it. Let's talk about it. What do you want? And then we'll start making this update as part of the sprint to get the outcomes done. At the end of each sprint, we need to deliver an outcome. We need to go and develop a result. So the way that it looks like it is very simple. So what we have here, this is the initial requirements. So what is this initial requirements? Well, this initial requirements really is what we call what are the functions that we are expected to go and deliver. In other words, what does the user want to be able to go and do with that system? So all of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or whatever they are, this is what we call the client requirements. So the client, and please learn that now very quickly. The way you write that is there's a very specific way. For example, imagine I'm developing a system for the education field, and I want to be able to go and ensure students use it. Students are going to be able to go and download their course materials. My user story or my requirement will be written along this way. I would say, as a student, why? Because the role that we're trying to serve in this example is a student. As a student, great. I want to be able to log into the system, okay? So as a student, you are the user. I want to be able to log into the system, okay? So I know what you want to do. But what I don't know is why you want to do it. As a user, okay, great, that's the first part. I want to log into the system. That's the second part. To be able to download my course materials. So you see 3 components. As a user, who is the user of the system, and there could be so many users for the system. I want to be able to access the system. Okay, what I want to do, that's it. So that I can go and log in and download my course materials. That's the purpose I'm trying to go and achieve. Now for your assignment, you need to go and actually organize all of these user stories. You need to either develop user stories, or you need to be able to go and organize all of these user stories. So you need to really go and work on that to be able to go and reach the right outcomes. So what you have is, first, you have all of those requirements. Sorry. From those requirements, you are able to then choose which requirements you're going to work on. So I might have 20 requirements that are available. And then after this 20 requirements that are available, you basically go and pick up, you say for months 1, I would like to go and get select requirements. You're going to go and choose requirement number 1. You're going to say, I'm going to work for this month on requirement number 1. So that's requirement number 1, basically go and get picked up. And then I'll start working on this requirements number 1. So for that requirement to be able to implement it, there's a plan. So I plan what I want to do. I design, I develop it, I test it, and then I go and actually evaluate it. So there's all of these things. And then eventually what will happen is we're going to go and actually deploy that work. So you're going to go and actually implement that work and get it delivered in practice. So it's really something to really bear in mind that we're trying to go and actually do. So as I said, initially there's that planning. So we pick up, this is initially all the requirements. So you might have 50 functions you want to go and deliver. They're all basically sitting there. And then what you do is you pick up the first function or whatever function you would like to work on. You basically prioritize those functions. This is basically showing you what is the priority of each function. So you basically go and choose which function you would like to go and work on at the point of time. So you pick up that function. Then you create a plan. So you start, deciding how you're going to work on it. You design it, you develop it, you test it, you evaluate what you've delivered. Evaluation, not simply about you as a user evaluating it or as a person who developed it, but also as people who are going to be potentially using that system. They will basically go and evaluate that to be able to get the right outcome. And finally, we're going to have to go and get that delivered for the client. So that's something we go and actually do. So really to go and think about that from that perspective, this is really the foundation. So one of the things you need to do for your group assignment is you need to go and be able to create what is known as a product backlog with all of those requirements. You're going to be able to show me that you prioritize those requirements. You're going to need to go and show me that created, this is what we call a sprint, 4 stages. You're going to show me that you were able to create more than one sprint. You're going to need to show me that you created more than one release to release all of these products that went, that modules that went and got delivered. So we'll talk about that in more details as I start moving along with the lecture. So when I talk about the Agile Manifesto, guys, something like this, these specific foundations, I might ask you about them in your final exam. They're very, very important, and it's really important to understand. So what are the Agile Manifesto values? Agile Manifesto prefers that people be interacting together. So they prefer individuals, they prefer to empower individuals, they prefer to ensure there's a lot of interaction between all of these individuals. So it's individuals and interactions, right, over processes and tools. So that doesn't mean that we don't need processes, we don't need tools to be able to get the job done. We still need them, we still use them in an agile context. But what it means is the most important is not really the processes and tools. The most important is really about individuals and interactions. How do they interact together to be able to get the job done? The second, agile value. The most important thing you give to the client is a working software. That's what they want. So don't give them something that does not work. So they want a working software over comprehensive documentation. Documentation is great. Documentation is good for people to use the system. But the most important thing is give them a software that actually works. That's what they want. That's what they're paying for. So working software is more important than give me all of this extensive documentation. Customer collaboration is more important than contract negotiation. Collaborate with the client. They will change their needs. If you allow them to go and change their needs as the project is actually progressing, that would be really, really nice because then they are getting something that is they really, really want. They're getting exactly their requirements, and that's really what we want to be able to go and be able to give them. That's more important than contract negotiation. There's a contract between me and you, you have to go and do what I'm telling you. No, if you contract negotiate, there's not that close relationship. You're not really delivering what they want. You're kind of creating that formal agreement between you and them rather than really create something that they basically would be very happy to go and actually get. Responding to change is more important than following the plan. When I talk about responding to change, there's a lot of changes that might go and happen. You know, if the changes are all based on collaborating with the customer, which is the third one. You collaborate with them, they tell you what they need, and they also tell you how their requirements are changing, and you're requesting to those changes, which is more important than following a plan and delivering something, but not delivering something that they really want. You're delivering something different that it's not really what they really want. So that's something really important to really go and bear in mind. So when I talk about the Agile Manifesto principles, you know, initially this is the values, and now I'm talking about the principles. So let's talk about the principles. This is really the two main foundational things about Agile. The first principle, let me satisfy the customer. Whatever they want, let me meet their needs. Now, the second one is welcoming change, because to satisfy the customer, you're going to have to welcome the changes that the customer asks you about. So the second principle is really welcome the change that will come from the customer. The third principle is let me deliver frequently. Don't say, no, we're not going to change. Okay, you want these changes? No worries, Mr. Customer. I am very ready to go and give you exactly what you want. I'll work to give you that change because that's exactly what you want me to go and deliver. So let's deliver frequently, every 4 to 8 weeks potentially, because as I deliver, the customer will give me their feedback, and based on that, we'll be able to go and ensure we are delivering what they want. Collaborate daily. Your team members every day need to be collaborating. The Scrum Master, or what we usually call in the traditional way, we call them the actual project manager. These people need to go and really collaborate every day. The Scrum Master, the developers, the testers, or what we call the Scrum team, the business owner, product owner, the stakeholders, they need to keep on collaborating with us and talking to us, because if we talk to them, we'll be able to really go and ensure we are delivering what they want. So collaborate daily with all of these customers to get them what they want. Support and trust motivated teams. Like, I want to support my team members. I'm not going to tell them what to do, but trust them, okay? Show them that you trust they are going to be able to do what you want them to do. So make sure they can see your trust, they believe in your trust, they like your trust, and make sure you're getting that outcomes really delivered to them. Support, promote face-to-face conversation. We need to talk to people. It's not about, let's go and hide somewhere into some room and not try to talk together as a group. No, it's about how do we go and collaborate together to be able to reach goals. It's very, very important we go and collaborate and speak every day face-to-face. Deliver a working software, because if you deliver something that does not work, you haven't really delivered the value and customer satisfaction. Promote a sustainable pace, and that's how Agile does it. It does it every 4 weeks. Sprint, sprint, sprint. Every 4 weeks, feature. Another 4 weeks, more features that work with the first feature. Another 4 weeks, more features that work with the original features. And the reason why that's sustainable is because you can sustain people working on a team for 4 weeks. You can sustain getting an outcome in 4 weeks. So because you allow people to choose what they want to work with, you are able to get all of those outcomes. Promote technical excellence. Now, technical excellence is about ensuring there's no bugs, there's no mistakes, there's no performance issues with what we're trying to go and deliver. And that's really something beneficial. Maximize through simplicity. So instead of writing $1,000 line of code, 1,000 codes, 1,000 lines of codes, if you can only write 500 lines of codes, why do you not write 1,000? You don't. Just write exactly what you need. Have a self-organized team. They will decide who's going to be doing what. And the reason why is because each of them have the skills. They know what they are very good at, and they basically know what is best for them to go and deliver. And finally, reflect and adjust regularly. Don't say, oh, it's great. Go and reflect. I believe it's great. Let me go and talk about it. Was it actually great? Did we really deliver what is required? So reflect and adjust regularly based on all of these changes that are happening all around you. If the change, if you find out you're not actually working well, you haven't worked as a group, you didn't manage conflict well, reflect on that and try to make the improvements that are necessary to continue working on the project. So basically, it's all of these items here, we follow these principles, agile processes promote sustainable development. All of these things are really a repetition of all of these agile manifesto principles that I mentioned here. So I'm not going to repeat this, but this is really what I've just been explaining to you for the last 10 minutes or so. The agile benefits, guys. What's more important than getting people to be happy? And when I talk about people, it's not simply the people who are actually getting the outcome done. So you're having happy stakeholders, okay? You're having the client, you're having the business analyst. All of these people are very, very happy. They're actually getting the right goals to go and be delivered. But also it's enjoyable to you guys as a group, because every day you're talking together. Every day you're helping each other. Every day you're supporting each other. So it's really important to be able to go and think about that. It is really enjoyable for people to really work together. There's a higher revenue. Why? Because if I am delivering exactly what the client needs, and what the client needs basically has changed throughout various timelines, if that's what's happening, then that's a really higher revenue, because we are delivering to them what the client needs at any particular point of time. So we really got the benefits because we got them exactly what they want, and because we got them what they want, the client could use it, and potentially we're going to be able to get higher revenue. But it's not always about revenue. Sometimes the system we deliver is more about ensuring we're going to increase productivity. So the system that is delivered according to what the client needs will also help us to be able to go and get more productive outcomes. We get the quality, we get the right product, we deliver it while it's fun environment. We are delivering things quicker to the market. We're having visibility. Anybody would be able to see at any point of time what's happening. All of these are very, very big benefits to consider from an agile perspective. Now, what agile development project teach us? They teach us about the importance of communication all the time together, the importance of giving people responsibility and trusting that they are able to go and get this job done, the importance of collaborating together. I collaborate with my stakeholders. I collaborate with the client if their requirement's going to change. I collaborate with even people inside my business, or even people in other departments within my business, collaborate with them to get the job done. But it's also about teamwork. It's not about me, one person in that team, getting the job done. It's about everybody within the team getting the job done. It's really all about the teamwork that is basically required to be able to go and be able to get things delivered. So get all of these principles in place, we'll be able to really reach the right outcome. Now, agile management has its advantages, but it also has disadvantages. Okay, for example, because we're not doing so much upfront planning, there might be risks. What if we haven't actually been able to go and identify the risks that could basically stop my project from basically being delivered on time? There's also poor management of resources. What does that mean? Well, what about if I go and I'm not telling people what to do, I'm trusting that they are going to be able to do what they want to do. What if I go and actually do that and I don't tell them what to do? They basically, I give them the option to do whatever they would like to do. Well, what is that going to have as an impact on me? The impact might mean, for example, that resources might not work very well together. And because of that, that might then become an issue that will inhibit my progress. So another thing to be able to really go and bear in mind there. A flexible system like Agile can make it difficult to focus and push your project to completion if we're not careful. If we keep on saying to people, oh, you know what, keep on adding whatever you would like, it doesn't matter, I'm allowing you to go and change. If you keep on telling them, yeah, that's fine, you can keep on doing all of these things, you might not be able to go and get the project completed. So you need to get to the stage where you say, you know what, we've already done all of these things, we've already worked hard, we've already made a lot of changes to meet your requirements. Now, if you want any extra requirements, you need to go and be ready to go and create a new request, a new project, and we'll be able to start working on that for you at that point of time. Now, what badly managed Agile development projects look like? Well, there's some communication, there's some responsibility, there's some collaboration, there's some teamwork, but the majority is people do not trust each other. That is the worst thing that could happen. People are there and they don't actually trust each other to be able to get the job done. That's something we need to really go and bear in mind, and that's really could be a big problem. Now, when I talk about Agile management, are you being a leader or are you being a boss? A boss is someone's going to go and say, you do this. That's how it's going to be done. And that's really what you tend to get into a lot of time into the actual traditional way of project management. On the other hand, we have leaders in the Agile project management world. Leaders are the ones who they tell people how things need to be done. You don't tell them. They tell. They decide how things need to be done. You know, they lead you. They basically tell you, okay, you decide, not me. So he say, I'm your leader, yes, but I'm going to lead you by being servant to you. You come to me and say, I don't know how to do things. I say, well, let's ask the people around you. How would they have solved that problem themselves? And you start asking all of those people, and they start telling you. And based on that, you'll be able to really go and try to get a way to go and decide how things need to be done. Like, you don't tell them, you basically guide them to speak to each other, to collaborate with each other, and through that guidance, you'll be able to ensure that they are able to really go and get the job done. You don't tell them how to do it, you just guide them on a way to be able to go and get the job done to deliver the project. We talk about the skills of an agile manager. Communicate effectively. Be diplomatic. If there's an issue, try to be diplomatic. Hear every side. Listen to everybody. Analyze the problems that could be there and guide people based on your analysis to be able to go and solve the issues. When I talk about the psychology of agile team leadership, we talk about individuals over processes and tools. Now, if you notice, in small team sizes, medium team sizes, and large team sizes, the efficiency of agile teams, this is the agile, the dark color, agile teams are always more efficient than traditional project management. In a small team, agile is more efficient. In a medium team, agile is more efficient. And in a large team, agile is more efficient than the traditional way of project management. We spoke about the components. It's all about trust. It's all about collaboration. It's all about being agile in your thinking. If we're going to go and change the requirements, if we're going to go and decide that things need to change, that's all good. We will change things accordingly. That's really not a problem. Engineering practices. It's all about bringing things together. Get one practice from here, one practice from here, one practice from here, incorporating them to be able to really go and try to get the job done. When I talk about the agile manager, it's really about establishing all of these agile goals. What are the agile goals? Define and create independence, which is people can work independently. They don't need to really be influenced by everybody else. But at the same time, define and create interdependence. So in other words, as an employee, you need to be able to work by yourself because we trust you and we trust with your knowledge. But at the same time, you need to be able to work with a group because it's all about the group to get the job done. You might do one component of the work, they might do one component of the work, and it's about how do we bring all of these together to get the job done. It's about really establishing an overall individual and team goals and objectives. So overall objective for the work, individual objective for the work. In other words, every person, what is their objective and goals, and team objective of the work. All of them needs to be incorporated to be able to go and ensure you get the job done. Establishing a self-organization concept. I don't need to tell people what to do. I'm going to tell them you organize it to the worst way you believe it should be done. I'm going to go and trust you that you can do what needs to be done. I'm not going to go and basically go and tell you how to do things. Establish feedback and collaboration timelines and objectives. So we're going to keep on giving feedback. We're going to go and say we're going to collaborate at this time, this time, this time. For example, in Agile, every single day, team members need to go and be collaborating together, discussing things together, ensuring they know at any point of time what they're working on. This is all about really the daily collaboration. Establish a stable sprint team membership. Why? Because if your membership keep on changing, you're going to really have an issue. You don't want this membership to keep on changing all the time. You want to basically have the stable people all the time. Establish teams' ability to challenge and question sprints. In other words, if we delivered something and some people believe that wasn't the right outcome, we have to be able to have the chance to go and basically question that. Why did we deliver this? Is this the best outcome? If it's not the best outcome, let's discuss it. What do we need to do? How do we change it? And so on. Establish an environment where people will be mentored. In other words, if there's people who don't know what to do, we'll guide them. If there's new people in the team, we'll guide them. People are learning all the time because they need, someone might be coming from another group, coming to your group. You're going to have to basically guide them on how we do things within the organization. It's about being creative. Show them that, you don't need to follow the same thing we do over and over again. We're ready to listen to your views, things that you've learned in other places that we believe could actually go and add value within my business. Keep the vision and keep the mission always in front of the teams. People need to know what we're trying to do. People need to know what we're standing for. You need to really keep that always available in front of the teams to be able to go and get the job done. So all of these are things we need to really go and bear in mind, guys. Very, very important things. And I'm going to start covering all of these aspects one by one now. So if we talk about interdependence and independence. So we have initially all of these new and unfinished capabilities. There's so many requirements. Then we come and we choose the most important requirements. Then those most important requirements, we start planning how we're going to get them done. We're going to, after we plan, we're going to start trying to go and do the job. We're going to get a working software at the end, and we're going to have to honestly evaluate that software we delivered. We're going to have to collaborate every day to be able to go and decide whether we're working well. We're going to go and empower people to do their job, and we're going to be able to keep on working in one heart to get the job done. But if you talk about empowerment, empowerment is about really allowing people to work independently. I empower you. I trust you. I know you can do things. I don't want to tell you how to do things. I trust that you have the skills and the knowledge to be able to do things. So that's where I empower you. Daily collaboration is where I need to basically be able to work with everybody else out there. What does that mean? It's all about interdependence. How me, which is I'm empowered to do the job by myself, and how the group who basically collaborate every day, how are we going to be able to not simply work independently to get the job done, but how are we going to be able to go and work interdependently to be able to also go and work together to get the job done. Both of which are very important, and we must go and consider to be able to ensure we are achieving the right outcomes, both independence and interdependence. Now, there's overall goals, individual goals, and team goals. And there's a feeling of locus of control that I would like to go and talk about. All right, guys, so we continue in terms of the all of this interaction, locus of control. Some people have what we believe is a locus, external locus of control, and some people think there is an internal locus of control. An internal locus of control is where you as a person believe that your behavior is guided by your personal decisions. So your ability to be able to go and achieve outcomes is really influenced by your own ability and your own focus. Now, other people have what is called as an external locus of control. In other words, they believe that their behavior is guided by what happened in the external environment. In other words, if people do things around them well, they'll be able to get a right outcome. If people don't actually get the right things done well, then basically you believe that your performance is going to be impacted because of what's happening around you, not because of your individual actions. Now, what you need to bear in mind in an agile context is you have various things. You have external locus of control and you have internal locus of control. In other words, you are being empowered as an individual to get the job done. You basically have an individual status, individual empowerment, individual efficacy, and that because of that, you believe you can take actions, and because of that, you believe that your actions will lead to success. But also there's a team emphasis. We want people to be working well as a team together to be able to go and really get the job done. And because we have a team emphasis, that's again something important. So we think about the team, we think about the collective status of everybody really joining together. We think about the collective status, which together, if the team is working well together, the team will go and take action. If the team take good actions together, then you will be able to go and also be effective as an individual, because your goal and the outcome was being delivered because everybody not simply worked as a group, but also managed to go and work as individuals to get the job done. Whenever we go and try to work as a group, we go and take action. Now, our individual action and the actions of the team combined together will help us to reach success or failure. When I talk about success or failure, we'll have to evaluate success or failure. I have to evaluate my own individual work. Did I go well individually to get the job done? And as a group, I need to go and evaluate, did we work well as a group to be able to go and get the job done? And from there, we'll all go and actually make the improvements and ensure we're going to keep on driving the changes that are meeting the client requirements at any specific point of time. We talk about the self-organization, myth and realities. A lot of time, guys, we think, you know, everybody's going to be able to be sitting there, trusting each other, working well together, and so on. But in reality, a lot of time, that is actually not the case. A lot of time, people are not working well together, are having issues together, they're not comfortable, they don't admit the weaknesses, and they never actually go and ask for help, and that actually influence and impact on the ability to go and deliver the right outcomes. We talk about fear of conflict. A lot of time people are afraid of conflict. They're afraid to challenge others' views. They're afraid to make decisions. They're afraid to, you know, to go and tell people what to do. So that's really what happened a lot of time. But you need to be okay with conflict. You need to welcome conflict and you need to be basically respectable on managing conflict to be able to go and ensure the project outcomes are being delivered. A lot of times we say we want people to go and be committed, but in reality, there's a lot of time a lack of commitment, people not doing their jobs, people not actually ensuring they support their team to get the job done. A lot of time there's avoidance of accountability. So there's a low standard. You know, if someone doesn't do the job, no one make him accountable. No one say, oh, why didn't you do this or didn't you do that? No, nobody basically give him any accountability. They say, that's fine, you don't deliver things, it's your problem. And basically nobody remains accountable at that particular point of time. Now, you need to be able to get people to take ownership. If there's a problem, if there's a mistake, if something doesn't get delivered according to plan, it's very important you actually go and think about that and get the job done accordingly. And attention to result. You know, we have our status, we believe in each other, we believe that we are invincible and we will always be able to get the job done. But in reality, we don't actually go and check the quality of the work. We don't get things according to the standards that are required. So we go and get things done. They don't meet the requirement that we're basically looking for. There's no attention to the actual result, and we end up delivering something that the client does not work. This is really the reality of what goes and happens in real life a lot of times versus what should actually happen at any particular point of time. Now, you need to have a stable team environment. So when I talk about all of these dysfunction, when I talk about the absence of trust, there's a role for the leader to get the job done. What is the role? Well, if people don't trust something, well, why don't you go first? Show them how it's done, show them that it's valuable, and then they'll trust the leader because they see you doing it first, and then because of that, they're basically going to go and follow you suit. If there's a feel of conflict, what is the role of the leader? Observe the conflict, resolve the conflict, deal with it. Don't just leave it unfollowed up, unmanaged. That's going to be an issue. Lack of commitment is another problem. Drives for clarity and closure is what we need to go and do. We need to make sure everybody is clear on their expectations, and we need to make sure everybody is getting the job done and we're closing those tasks. We need to make sure they're committed to ensure they do their job, because if they're not committed to do their job, we are going to be having an issue. We talk about avoidance of accountability. So if people are avoiding doing something, what are we going to do with that? Well, if they are avoiding it, we need to go and confront the issue. We can't hide it. Let's go and speak to those people. Let's go and say, well, you know, we are having this problem. Okay, I know you're not actually getting all of these things done. So can we please start becoming accountable and ensuring we are getting this job done accordingly, because that's really, really important for us to be able to go and really do. So it's very important to ensure that people are actually accountable for the work that they basically needed to go and actually go and do. Inattention to result is another one we need to go and bear in mind. So when I talk about inattention to result, we're talking about an outcome has been delivered, but it's not the right outcomes. Okay, so we're not getting exactly what the client really wants us to go and deliver at that particular point of time. If we're not getting the right outcomes to be delivered at that particular point of time, this is going to be a big issue, because in any project, it's all about ensuring we are delivering the right outcomes. So what is your role as a manager? Well, your role is going to be more about ensuring we're going to go and monitor people, focusing on the collective outcome of everybody within the group, and ensuring everybody is understanding how they need to work on a task to get the job done. So you have a job as a leader to ensure people are doing the right thing at any particular point of time. Other thing to consider, challenging and questioning sprints. It's really an individual responsibility. If you see something is being delivered and it's not really going to add value, you have to sit down and actually question why we're doing it. Don't be scared to make this questioning. Just go ask a question to ensure you get the right outcome. Mentoring, learning, and creativity. That's another thing to bear in mind. It's really creating an environment of growth. So how do we actually go and keep on teaching people around us, guiding them if something they don't know how to do, how do we go and help them to ensure they're going to start getting the right outcomes to get the job done? Keep the vision in the front and the team, and ensuring system integration. The vision is what is the end outcome? The integration is about ensuring we deliver all of these small components, and how we're going to go and integrate everything to be able to continue really driving the delivery of the right outcomes. So it's really about working hard to get the right outcomes delivered. Why Agile is great for customers? Well, because they want you to give them something. They want you to deliver what they want. They don't care about how you do things. All what they care as a client is give me what I want. And that's exactly what you're actually giving them. You're giving them exactly what they want. So that's exactly what you need to go and focus on. All the Agile tools and techniques exist solely to that end. So we have techniques, we have tools, we need to go and deliver them. But why are they there? They're there because they want to help us to get the outcome delivered, exactly what the client wanting at any point of time. That is really the focus, and that is what Agile give me. Use whatever techniques get the best results, but don't get hung on how do we do it. Because if the technique is to go and use a Kanban board, use a Kanban board. Now, doesn't matter how you use it, it's all about ensuring check the technique that is going to get you the outcomes and focus on it. The end are much more important than the means. We don't care how we get the job done. We simply care about getting the job done and getting the outcomes. The project management focus, we don't care too much about that. That's directly anything to do with our focus. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the conclusion of the first class. Now, I'm going to go to the second chapter. I'm going to talk about chapter 3. The second topic is really about understanding the Agile team, Agile project. So it's really about managing for success. I'm going to talk about really the concept, the whole thing. This is really going to introduce you to what you need to do for your assignment. So please be very, very attentive. We're going to talk about the Agile development cycle versus traditional development cycle. We're going to talk about the Agile team. Traditional project management consider on the thorough upfront planning for the entire project from the beginning. That's what the traditional project management approach really go and work about. Requires a high degree of predictability. They want to be able to know exactly what we're trying to deliver at any particular point of time from the beginning. That's really the focus. That's what you're trying to go and really do. Agile doesn't want all of this upfront planning. They want things to change. They want to be able to go and incrementally provide all of these changes. They want to go and explore the requirements. How are all of those requirements changing? Discover what is needed, make the testing that is required, and get the job done. It's more focused on collaboration between the team and the customer representative, because at any point of time, it's not really about getting the initial planning in place. It's more about at any point of time, understanding how the client requirements has actually changed. And based on that, we basically start ensuring we are delivering all of these updated changes, if that makes sense. So in the traditional waterfall approach, We talk about concept phase, requirements phase, design phase, construct, test, and deploy phase. It's really a step-by-step process from the beginning all the way to the end. Agile is a bit different. Agile does have phases, but the way that it works is very, very different, which I'll talk about in a second. In Agile, my design needs to be available up front. I need to know exactly what I'm trying to deliver to the client. In Agile, the design is changing. It's always about changing requirements. So the design is continuously changing based on the needs that we have to the client at any point of time. The scope is different. In other words, in Agile, the scope is very flexible. So it's basically, if the client wants something else, let me go and change it and give them exactly what they want. Traditional focus on deliverables, which is we're going to get the deliverables at every point of time. And at the end, once we deliver all of these deliverables, which could last over a 12 months period, that's when we say that the project has actually been delivered. In Agile, we focus on the features and we focus on the requirements. What are the features that the client wants at any point of time? That's really what we're trying to do at any particular point of time. In traditional, we freeze the design as early as possible. In Agile, let's get the design late, doesn't matter. Whenever the client wants things late, that's okay, we'll go and deliver what they want at that particular point of time. In traditional, there's low uncertainty because we're planning everything in details from the beginning, so we know what we're gonna get. In Agile, the uncertainty is high because the client, according to what they find they need at any particular point of time, they are allowed to change their requirements, and we are basically respecting that. In traditional, there's an avoidance of change. In Agile, we are embracing any changes that happen at any point of time because change is welcome to ensure we're going to meet the client requirements. In traditional, the customer tells me at the beginning what they want, and then I work by myself to get the job done. In Agile, we are very much interacting in detail with the actual customer to be able to get the job done all the time. There's all of these interactions happening, so very high customer interaction. In Agile, there's a conventional project team, which basically have a manager, and the manager will tell them exactly what needs to happen. But in reality, in Agile, you don't tell the team what to do. You just set up the team, and then you basically trust the team and their ability, and based on that, they'll be able to go and ensure they are getting the job done. So you basically get a self-organized team that you trust from that team, that you are able to go and get the job done appropriately. So in traditional approach, you have initiation stage, planning stage, controlling stage, executing stage, and closing stages. And you notice there's a beginning and there's an end of the project. In Agile, it's different. In Agile, you have many stages, but you see initiation, planning, okay? So there's here, you can see sprint 1 executing. You can see sprint 2. You can see sprint N. So you're still having all of these stages: initiation, planning, executing, initiating, planning, executing, initiating, planning, executing. And eventually you're going to close all of your project. But what will happen is in this project, you'll only get an outcome at the end. And in this project, you'll get an outcome here. You can release it to the customer. You get an outcome here. You can release it to the customer. You get an outcome here. You can release it to the customer. And any of those outcomes are at any point of time selected based on checking at any point of time what is the priority of my client at any particular point of time. So really, we're taking the lead of the client to understand what we need to do at any particular point of time. So we talk about the Agile team. There's all of these SMEs, you know, the meta experts. So these are the people who have all the knowledge about what we're trying to go and deliver. Subject matter experts on various topics. You have the business owner, who basically could be the, the guy who's basically want the job to be done. This business owner is dealing with so many stakeholders in the business a lot of time. They tell him, oi, Mr. Business Owner, we want things to be done. So what the business owner does, he comes and speaks to the product owner. He tells him, I want this feature, this feature, this feature, this feature, this feature, because that's what the stakeholders are asking me they want. So the product owner, what they do, they go and write all of these features, and they write them in the form of a user story. And they go and they rank all of these various user stories. So these user stories, what will happen is they go and, they go and actually get organized and prioritized. And from there, what will happen is the Scrum Master. What is the Scrum Master going to do? The Scrum Master goes and get led by this product owner. The Scrum Master will tell, okay, the product owner, okay, what do you want us to go and do? And then what the product owner will go and say, well, what I want you to go and do is I want you to go and actually get this feature, feature 1, feature 2, feature 3 going and actually being delivered. So what will happen is you will go and you will have all of those features, and you will work as a Scrum Master. You will guide all of these development teams. You will guide them on getting the job done. So these teams, what they'll do is they're going to go and start on working on those features. Who selected those features? The product owner, after he spoke to the business owner. And who told the business owner what is needed? All of these stakeholders in the business that need something to go and be done. So this is where the project team will be working. The product owner will have all of the, what we call the product backlog, which have all the features. The features go and actually have all of these Scrum Master. And the Scrum Master will work with the development team to get the job done. They might take the opinion of subject matter experts on what they're trying to deliver to be able to ensure they are going to be able to get the job done appropriately. So something to really go and bear in mind. Now, the role of the Scrum Master: assist the product owner with backlog creation and maintenance. So that's really the job. They're going to go and look at the backlog. The backlog will have all the features. They're going to go and ensure they're going to create the backlog. They're going to maintain it. They're going to make changes accordingly. So that's really what they're trying to go and do at that point of time. You basically then go, works with the agile team to define sprint completion. So if you go and he give you those features, say, okay, I want feature 1. That's what I want you to deliver. They're going to go and work with the team. So they're going to go and work with the Scrum Master and the development team to get the job done. Now, how do we as a team know that the job is done? Well, because this guy will go and tell me, how do we know that the job is done? They need to go and define criteria for done. And that's what you need to do for your assignment. You need to go and create a backlog, and you need to go and actually create a backlog for done to ensure that the job is done appropriately. So what does that actually mean? Well, if, for example, the feature is, as a student, I want to be able to log into the system to be able to download my course material, the criteria for done could mean the user logs in to the actual Moodle site, put the username and password, click on the subject, download the material, and be able to save it on the computer. This is a criteria to done. It's basically about checking that this feature we wanted, the client is really able to go and do what is required at any particular point of time. It's about removing stumbling blocks or impediments to progress, whether internal or external. That's what the Scrum Master. Sometimes things don't go according to what we want. So what is my job? Well, my job is about ensuring how I'm going to go and fix this issue to be able to ensure the job is basically being done at any particular point of time. For example, get the support needed from another team to get the job done. Facilitate the team to be self-organized and they decide how things need to be done. Help the development team follow the Scrum processes. For For example, you should understand how the agile management works. You should be able to go and guide the people and be a mentor and help them to go and get the job done. That's all really about following up what needs to go and happen. The Scrum Master at the end should spend the sprint making the rest of the development team as productive as possible to be able to get the job done. When you have one person as a Scrum Master, this could actually lead to issues. Why? Because development teams sometimes might not access the Scrum Master throughout the life cycle because he might be busy doing other stuff also. The Scrum Master might not have the actual expertise in a domain that we want, which basically might limit the ability to go and mentor junior engineers or junior developers to go and get the job done. Time wasted each morning as Scrum Master attends numerous Scrum meetings and tries to track issues expressed per team. So if there's one person working across being a Scrum Master of more than one team, he needs to meet in the morning, every day, all of those teams. There's going to be issues for each one of those teams. You need to follow up for each of those teams. That could basically go and create some slow progress. Killing the notion of self-organization and team locus of control, resulting in development teams' lack of ownership. If the Scrum Master is going to become a guide for everybody and he has to go and tell everybody what to do rather than actually guide them as a servant leader, that might create a problem in terms we're not delivering and working according to the requirement of Agile. Fixing problems by moving people across development teams, destroying cohesiveness. So if I'm managing more than one team, and there's two people in team one that are very bad, I might move them from team one to team two. But I can't expect them, as soon as they join that team, everything is going to work very, very well, because they need to start getting accustomed to working with new people. And that's not something you are very easily able to go and achieve a lot of times. So that's a problem when you have a single person acting as a Scrum Master. Alrighty, so when I talk about the Agile team dynamics, Agile manager must learn to deal with teams dynamics and manage the following major issues. For example, there's a difference between the traditional way of doing things and the classical way of doing, and the Agile way of doing things. You need to try to get people to be learning and accustomed to using this new way of getting a job done. You might be having old engineers and young engineers. Young engineers would welcome so much change. Old engineers might say, no, we've been doing the same thing over and over again. We don't want any change, and that's something to really go and bear in mind. Cultural and diversity differences is another thing to bear in mind, and virtual team dynamics, which I'll talk about them in a minute. So the first one is differences between Agile teams and classical development teams. In Agile, self-organizing. You do whatever you need to do to get the job done. That's different than non-Agile, where everybody needs to tell you how things need to be done. Teams are cross-functional with all skills necessary for delivering a product sprint. In non-Agile, teams contain sub-teams that have very specific skills. So they're not cross-functional. They don't know how to do various things. They're very specialized. All team members are called developers regardless of the work they do in Agile. In traditional, you call them programmer, senior programmer, project manager, tester. You have all of these different names. In Agile, we recommend 5 to 12 people, but in non-Agile, well, there's no recommended size. There is no longer a manager in Agile. There's basically, manager is a facilitator. They trust the people to get the job done, which is in contrast to non-Agile environments. All functions for sprint developments are done by the team. So we're not going to go employ anybody externally. Planning functions are performed by the manager in Agile. Design, coding, and testing are done by specific team members. So it's not everybody could do the whole job. It's basically very specialized. Knowledge and power are collocated throughout the team, creating their own center of authority. So they decide how the job gets done. Knowledge and power are located within management in non-Agile. So manager decides how things need to be done. And we have responsibility and attachment are shared as a wall within the team, but that's in contrast to non-Agile, where responsibility and commitment are attached only to a single job for a project or sub-project. Now, in an Agile perspective, It doesn't matter if someone else not doing task B. You can't say it's their task and I'm doing my task, because you guys all need to work together. If someone can't get the job done, you need to support them. Otherwise, your sprint is going to fail and the whole team is going to fail. Generational differences. The Agile manager need to foster respect between each of their developers. Don't say you against me. Allow people to really brainstorm, come together, share their ideas. Don't try to think, oh, these old people only know the ones and zeros. They don't know how we work in the current way of thinking. Now, you need to get people to come together, be innovative, share information, and that's how you go and get the job done. Cultural and diversity differences. Agile manager should create a team with cultural and diversity differences. It's okay to be diverse. They don't need to be from the same place. In diverse environments, it means someone could have been working in this company, somebody in the other company. You get all of these ideas. You get different skill sets. You have different knowledge, different experiences, all of which will go and actually drive solutions to the organization. Collaboration among different diversity groups should be encouraged. Different religion, different backgrounds, different anything. It's all about how the changes are happening. It doesn't really have to be the same people. So basically, we create a lot of diversity. We let people actually go and work together to be able to get the job done. Virtual team dynamics. Agile manager can facilitate geographical diverse virtual teams and still create, to the grand extent, an atmosphere of collaboration. We focus a lot of diversity and inclusiveness. We don't care where people are from. We just need to go and embrace all of these. Really great collaboration and great way of people working together. So it doesn't matter if they're not in the same place, we still follow the same principles. Even if we are in different locations, when we celebrate success in location one, we also celebrate with the other people. Like that's when I was working in Korea one, that's what we used to do. We have people in America, people in Melbourne, people in Australia doing our job. But once we celebrate, we bring everybody, even if it's virtually, and we ensure that together, we're basically working to go and celebrate together the achievement of outcomes. I want to do this task, but what I want to do first is I want to go and play video first. So let me play this video first for you. And then based on the time that is left, I'll be able to go and work on something else. So I will play that video. It is a bit long, but it's important to give you the foundations of Agile. I noticed that someone just joined us now. Who just joined us now, guys? You can send a message, but I'm going to go and I'll play this video. It's really an introduction, and I'm going to use that to be able to really introduce you to what you need to do for your group assignment that is coming up. So I'll start playing. It's about 11 minutes. Please listen.
Hello, I'm Mark. I help organizations write software more efficiently, and often this means helping teams understand what it means to develop in an agile way. In this video, we're going to answer the question, what is agile? And just as important, we'll discuss what agile is not. Many things get called agile, especially by people who are trying to sell you something. If you ask the makers of paper products, they will tell you that to be agile, you need to write your user stories on the sticky note cards that they just happen to sell. If you ask a consultant, you'll likely hear that it's a methodology for developing software that your organization can learn if you buy their services. And if you talk to the makers of orthopedic shoes, you'll be told that the key to being agile is meetings where everyone stands up. So the more comfortable your shoes, the more agile your team. The actual definition of agile is found in the Agile Manifesto. The manifesto makes it clear that agile isn't a methodology. It isn't a specific way of doing software development. It isn't a framework or a process. In fact, most of the things that are marketed as agile tend to miss the point of what agile actually is. Agile is a set of values and principles. Much of the discussion around agile has to do with following different practices, using various methodologies, and even developing with specific tools. While these things might help a team that's trying to follow Agile, they aren't Agile in and of themselves. For example, while a team may find that having a daily stand-up meeting is helpful, the stand-up is only Agile to the extent that it is the result of a team following the Agile principles and values. When you understand this, it's easy to see that Agile is really a collection of beliefs that teams can use for making decisions about how to do the work of developing software. While this means the term Agile gets subjected to a great deal of abuse when people claim that this or that is the way to be Agile, it also means that if you truly understand what Agile is, it's surprisingly flexible. Agile doesn't make decisions for you. Instead, it gives you a foundation that teams can use to make decisions that result in better software development. The Agile Manifesto is only 68 words and very simply says that we can develop software better by valuing the items on the left side of the list more than the items on the right side. The Agile Manifesto says we are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others do it. Through this work, we have come to value individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, responding to change over following a plan. That is, while there is value in the items on the right, we value the items on the left more. In addition to the values of the manifesto, there are 12 principles that support the values. Once again, the principles are very general and are less about telling you what to do than they are about giving you the ability to make a good decision in a particular situation. The 12 principles are: number 1, our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Number 2, welcome changing requirements, even late in development. Agile processes harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. Number 3, deliver working software frequently, from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, with a preference for the shorter time scale. Number 4, business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. Number 5, build projects around motivated individuals. Give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. Number 6, the most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is face-to-face conversations. Number 7, working software is the primary measure of progress. Number 8, Agile processes promote sustainable development. The sponsors, developers, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. Number 9, continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. Number 10, simplicity. The art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential. Number 11, the best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. Number 12, at regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. Since Agile is a collection of values and principles, its real utility is in giving people a common foundation for making decisions about the best way to develop software. For example, consider a new project that is in discussion on how to get requirements from the business owner. The suggested approach is to require that the business owner write down all the requirements and sign off on them before beginning the work. A team that is following Agile would say, while that might work, isn't that inconsistent with our belief that we should value customer collaboration over contract negotiation? And doesn't it violate our principle that says the developers should be working with the business owners every day? How can we make this decision in a way that is consistent with our values and the principles we follow? Or consider a developer who's working on implementing a feature for the business owner. The developer realizes he needs a database to make the feature work. The first idea that comes to mind is to stop work on the feature and build out a robust database layer that will handle the needs of the feature and provide support for other development that will be needed later. If the developer believes in the Agile values and is trying to follow the Agile principles, they would think, but building out this layer means I would have to delay delivering what the customer can see as valuable software they can use. If I can find a way to build just what is necessary to deliver this feature, it will better align with my principles. When you have a team that is following Agile, they will be making hundreds of decisions each week in the way described. That is what it means to be Agile, making each decision based on the principles and values that the team has decided to follow. The decision-making process matters. You can't try to short-circuit things by taking decisions made by another team and just blindly doing what they decided to do. Another team may make decisions based on the Agile principles and values that end up with a particular way of doing their work. Simply trying to mimic another team's actions and practices won't make your team Agile. After World War II, Melanesian islanders were observed trying to bring cargo planes and their supplies from the sky by mimicking the practices they had seen performed during the war. This included clearing the forest to make a landing strip, complete with full-sized planes made out of straw. They also created structures that mimicked a control tower out of bamboo and had someone sit in it wearing headphones fashioned from coconuts. It's easy to fall into similar type of cargo cult mentality when it comes to Agile. The things that are easy to notice in a highly functional Agile team are the practices they are using. But the practices a team uses are the result of following Agile principles and values. It's less important what practices a team happens to be using than why they are using it. In fact, as time goes by, a good Agile team is probably going to change and refine their practices that they use. A team might start with Scrum and later find that Kanban is a better fit for delivering value to their customers. A team might begin standing up on daily meetings and later decide it works better for everyone to stay sitting down. Another team might start out using planning poker to estimate story size, and later do away with story points and simply split stories to be approximately the same size. That isn't to say it's useless to look at practices being used by teams that are performing well, but you can't go looking for practices to make you Agile. Your principles and values are what will make you Agile. You have to look for practices that support your principles and values. The way you select your practices is what determines whether you are being Agile or not. If a practice is being selected because it looks like a good way to follow Agile principles, it's probably a good place to start. The same practice can work poorly for a team if it's selected for the wrong reasons.
Now guys, in relation to the other point, there's actually a few other slides that I haven't actually covered. So what I'll do is I'm going to go and talk about that in more details now in the tutorial. It's really about ensuring you're going to be applying all of these tools and search for various things. But we'll talk about that very, very shortly. Now, do you have any questions? Any questions at all? Okay, guys, I'm gonna then, if you don't have any questions, thank you very much for all your time. Just review the lecture slides and notes you've taken. And the tutorial materials we're going to be discussing today, read chapters 1, 2, and 3, and start working on your group assignment. We'll talk more about that in the tutorial very shortly. Thank you very kindly for your time. I'm going to just log out of this link now, and I would like you to go and log into the tutorial link. So thank you very much for all your work, guys.